The sun sat heavy in the sky that day, pressing its heat down onto the dusty square where the entire pack had gathered. Boots scraped over gravel, skirts whispered as bodies pressed closer together, all of them straining for a view. I stood in the center, spine straight though my knees trembled. My pulse hammered so loudly it drowned out the murmurs, yet every word still cut through. Asterisk, she's nervous. She's not fit. She's reaching too high. Asterisk, I kept my gaze fixed on the raised platform, on the figure I had dreamed of for years. My promised mate, the alpha son. He walked with a swagger that commanded attention, sunlight catching on the gold threading of his jacket, the smirk already playing on his lips. For a heartbeat I thought he might take my hand, seal what fate had written, and the ache in my chest would finally ease. My fingers twitched in anticipation. Then his smile twisted into something cruel. I will not take her. His voice cracked across the square, sharp and final. The crowd gasped, a wave of whispers rippling like wildfire. Some covered their mouths, others smirked, and a few laughed outright. My body felt suddenly hollow, as though my ribs had been carved away. She is unworthy of me, he went on, eyes gleaming with disdain. Weak, fragile, beneath the honor of our line. Each word was a blade, slicing clean. My breath caught, and the square seemed to tilt beneath me. I wanted to argue, to cry, to demand why, but the weight of the stairs pressed harder than any hand could. Heat burned behind my eyes, yet I refused to let tears fall here, in front of them all. I took a step back. My heel caught on loose stone, nearly sending me sprawling, and laughter rose from somewhere in the crowd. A shrill, cruel sound that echoed inside my skull. The world blurred as memory clawed forward. Long nights as a child sitting by cold hearths, wishing for someone to choose me, someone to say I was enough. I had believed this moment would heal that wound. Instead, it deepened it beyond measure. My throat ached with the effort of swallowing back my shame. I turned, meaning to flee the square, to hide where no eyes could follow, but whispers chased me. Asterisk, pitiful. Rejected. Unwanted. Asterisk, my steps quickened, skirts gathering dust as I forced my way past staring faces. The smell of sweat, leather, and cheap whiskey filled my lungs until I nearly choked. I stumbled into the alley that cut behind the saloon, bracing myself against the rough timber wall. The cool shadow there should have been a balm, yet my chest heaved as if I had run for miles. I pressed a palm against my heart, but it did not soothe the ragged beat. The truth was unbearable. I had been paraded before them all, then cast aside like spoiled bread. The square's noise drifted faintly behind me, but another sound carried through, the slow, deliberate rhythm of hooves striking dirt. Heavy, certain, not the hasty gallop of youth, but the measured pace of someone who knew the ground belonged to him. I froze. From the alley's mouth, sunlight fractured around a broad figure astride a dark horse. The animal's breath fogged in the heat, ears twitching. Its rider sat tall, cloaked in a dust-stained coat, hat brim pulled low. Yet even in shadow, his presence pressed against the air, demanding attention. The murmurs from the square faltered as people noticed him. Voices hushed to silence. He dismounted slowly, boots meeting the earth with a finality that made the boards beneath me shiver. The crowd shifted but did not dare speak. He did not look at them. His gaze swept past the whole pack and settled squarely, unflinchingly on me. I should have turned away. My heart was already raw, my pride shattered, and yet something in his stare rooted me in place. The Alpha King, older, darker, more dangerous than any man there, studied me with eyes like tempered steel. The air between us thickened, and the dust motes seemed to hang still. He said nothing, but in his silence I felt the question unspoken. Would I crumble or would I stand? My throat tightened, though not with shame this time. With something fiercer. The sun had rejected me in front of all. But the king had seen me in my ruin, and he had not looked away. That was the moment I realized. My story was far from over. The night bled into quiet, the kind that settles heavy after chaos. I sat near the edge of town, the taste of dust still clinging to my tongue, when his shadow cut through the firelight. The Alpha King stopped a few paces away, his gaze steady, his voice low but commanding. You deserve more than scraps from boys, he said. My fingers tightened around the hem of my skirt. His words were simple, yet they struck harder than the sun's cruelty. I lifted my chin, though my throat burned. Why do you care? You don't even know me. A corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile. I know enough. I watched a girl hold her ground while the pack turned on her. That takes steel. The compliment landed where my wounds were raw, but I refused to show it. The sting of humiliation was too fresh. I wanted to push him away, to wrap myself in anger, but his presence carried a gravity that pulled me closer despite myself. Before I could reply, movement rustled from the shadows. A group of figures slipped into the alley, eyes glinting with mean amusement. The sun's loyal hounds. Well, look here, one sneered, stepping forward with a swagger. Thought you could sneak off and lick your wounds, sweetheart? Their laughter was jagged, cruel. My stomach knotted. I braced myself, fists clenched, ready to fight even if it ended with me on the ground. They lunged. I swung first, catching one across the jaw, but another grabbed my arm, twisting until pain shot up to my shoulder. I bit back a cry. Dust kicked up as the scuffle grew. For a breath, I thought I would drown beneath their jeers. Then the Alpha King moved. He stepped in like a storm breaking over dry land. Swift, merciless. His fists landed with brutal precision, his strikes short and final. One man hit the wall, another crumpled into the dirt. The third tried to draw a blade but was disarmed with a sharp twist and a bone-cracking thud. It was over in seconds. Silence thickened. Only the sound of ragged breathing and the groan of the defeated filled the alley. The king looked down at me, dust smeared across his coat, eyes glinting with something dangerously close to amusement. "Reckon you've had a rough night, darlin'," he said. "Fancy some backup next time?" Despite myself, a shaky laugh broke free. The sound felt foreign, as though my lungs had forgotten how to shape it. He offered a hand, and I hesitated only a heartbeat before taking it. His grip was strong, grounding. We walked until the glow of firelight replaced the lamplight of town. His camp lay just beyond the ridge, a simple fire crackling, horses tied nearby. He lowered himself onto a log, gesturing for me to do the same. For a while we sat in silence, the crackle of flame filling the air. At last he spoke, his tone quieter than before. "I wasn't always king. I lost everything once. Pack, family, the right to call a place mine. Took me years to claw it back." The firelight carved shadows across his face, hardening the lines etched by loss. He wasn't boasting, he was confessing. I stared into the flames, words slipping out before I could stop them. All I ever wanted was to belong. Tonight proved I never did. His gaze found mine, sharp but not unkind. "You don't measure worth by who claims you. You measure it by how you rise when they don't." The truth in it struck deep. No pity, no hollow comfort. Respect. I felt it in every syllable. My chest eased, just a fraction, as though a wound long festering had finally been given air. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "The boy's blind. Let him choke on his pride. I see what he missed." The fire snapped, sparks leaping upward. My heart raced for reasons I could not name. His words were dangerous, not because they threatened harm, but because they offered hope, and hope was harder to carry than despair. "I can't survive another rejection," I whispered. "Then don't," he replied, voice steady. "Accept a claim only from someone who knows your worth. Someone who won't throw it away." Silence settled again, but it wasn't empty. It thrummed with possibility, with the weight of choice hanging between us. I studied him, the strength in his frame, the calm in his posture, the storm in his eyes. He wasn't a man who bent easily. And yet, as his gaze held mine, I realized he wasn't asking me to bend either. He was offering something else entirely. A place beside him. The pack's laughter still echoed in my memory, but it felt distant now, like a bad dream. In its place rose something unfamiliar but fierce, a belief that perhaps my story did not end in ashes. His hand hovered between us, not forceful, not demanding. Simply waiting. My breath trembled. Fear warred with longing, but beneath both pulsed a spark of resolve. The boy had torn me down before the world. The king was offering to build me back, not as a fragile thing to be pitied, but as an equal who had survived. I did not take his hand that night. Not yet. But I didn't turn away either. Sometimes rejection is just a redirection to a destiny greater than you ever imagined. And if you've walked with me through this story, let it remind you, broken moments don't define us. Rising from them does. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.